You know the voice. I mean, it's recognized in literally every corner of the globe. His performances have completely defined generations of cinema, bringing in an Academy Award, a Golden Globe, and the AFI Life Achievement Award. For decades now, Morgan Freeman has been the absolute embodiment of wisdom, resilience, and just masterful storytelling on the silver screen. But beyond the iconic actor we all know, there's another story, one that's been hidden just beneath the surface. So today in this explainer, we're going to uncover the remarkable, hidden numerical blueprint behind one of Hollywood's absolute greatest voices. We're asking the question, who is Morgan Freeman, numerologically? To set the stage, Morgan Freeman actually shared this really profound thought with the American Film Institute once, and it perfectly captures the theme of his whole journey. We live in this era that's completely obsessed with overnight success, right? But Freeman's path, it was defined by immense patience and a quiet, enduring hustle. He was definitely not a 20-something breakout star. In fact, he spent decades just waiting for the right moment. His success was literally forged in the fire of waiting, which honestly makes his eventual rise all the more fascinating. Section 1. The Human Story. To really understand the numerical patterns, we first need to look at the earthly struggles that defined his early years, way before the fame arrived. When you look at his timeline, there is a staggering gap between his beginnings and his mainstream Hollywood arrival. He was born back in 1937 in Memphis, Tennessee, raised in a low-income home, and eventually discovered acting as a junior high school student. In 1955, right after high school, he actually turned down a drama scholarship to join the U.S. Air Force. But get this, it wasn't until 1987, at age 49, basically turning 50, that he finally achieved his massive Hollywood breakout. Think about that for a second. That is an incredible 30-year gap between his high school graduation and true global recognition. And during those early years, his day-to-day reality was vastly different from his ambitions. His childhood dream, which was totally inspired by Hollywood war movies, was to be a fighter pilot darting around the skies. But the reality of his military service, well, it was starkly different. He was completely grounded. He became an automatic tracking radar repairman, spending over a year just sitting at a desk, waiting for a chance to even audition for a pilot slot. He eventually realized, he didn't actually want to shoot people down, and he left the Air Force after 4 years. But this period of being grounded, of just waiting, is an absolutely crucial theme we're going to see reflected in his numbers in just a minute. After the military, he faced a really grueling climb. He moved out to Los Angeles, took classes at the Pasadena Playhouse, and eventually shifted over to New York City. There, he worked these petty day jobs just to survive while doing nighttime auditions. For years, he was known mostly to a whole generation of kids as Easy Reader on the TV show The Electric Company. It took over 20 years of grinding on stage and television before he landed the role of the pimp Fast Black in the 1987 film Street Smart. That role finally earned him an Oscar nomination and put him right at center stage. But it was those decades of quiet perseverance that laid this unshakable foundation for everything that followed. Once that door finally opened, he rapidly ascended to Hollywood royalty. I mean, in 1989 alone, he starred in Glory and Driving Miss Daisy, the latter earning him another Best Actor Oscar nomination. Then came the legendary role as Red in The Shawshank Redemption in 1994, and finally, his Best Supporting Actor Academy Award win for playing an elderly former boxer in Clint Eastwood's $1 Million Baby in 2004. He had officially become the undisputed voice and soul of modern cinema. Section 2. The Numerical Identity. Okay, let's dive into this next part. We've seen the biographical facts. Now, let's pull back the curtain to explore the DOMS-NOMS framework. So, what we are looking at here is the abstract numerical blueprint that maps out his character, his energies, and his life lessons, all generated specifically from his birth date of June 1st, 1937. And sitting right at the center of this blueprint is a very specific, incredibly powerful driving force. Morgan Freeman's life path number is 9. Now, in the DOMS-NOMS framework, a life path 9 is known as the humanitarian. This specific energy defines a life that's driven by idealism, sensitivity, and serving the common good. People with this life path are really here to experience the beauty of selfless giving. Their true fulfillment doesn't come from personal ambition, but from giving out love and service to others without expecting any material reward in return. And honestly, this deeply resonates with that incredible wisdom and groundedness we all feel in his cinematic performances. Breaking down his chart a little further, there's a super fascinating layer to this profile, and that's his element energy. He is categorized as old wood. This energy is described as deep-rooted, principled, and enduring. It signifies the strength of an ancient tree, totally grounded and unshakable. Think about Morgan Freeman on screen for a second. He rarely runs around. He stands firm. He speaks with this quiet authority, and he holds the frame just by being there. He literally embodies the presence of an ancient, enduring tree. It's a perfect match. Section 3. Navigating the life graph. So what happens when we take this numerical identity and actually overlay it onto his real-world timeline? This proprietary life graph charts the momentum of his life's energy across the decades. The system actually marks him as an early bloomer energetically, with a soul satisfaction level of 2 out of 9. Basically, this timeline maps out periods of high momentum and then these prolonged periods of quiet pressure and rebuilding. Every season before a peak is preparation, and every season after is integration. And some truly fascinating synchronicities begin to emerge when we compare these mathematically predicted phases with his actual historical milestones. Let's explore how these align. At age 20 in 1957, his momentum hits the absolute floor. Then, at age 35 in 1972, he hits his absolute highest peak energy of 5, and at age 52 in 1989, the graph enters a falling phase of recalibration, which is precisely when his Hollywood career exploded into the mainstream. Let's look a little closer at 2 of these pivotal moments. At age 20, the life graph records his energy at a 0, the absolute lowest point. The reading describes this as a prolonged low, a time of total stillness where the soul rebuilds from 0. Connect that directly to his real life in 1957. He was a young man, dreaming of flying fighter jets, but instead, he was grounded, literally sitting at an Air Force desk repairing radar equipment. It was a season of extreme quiet pressure. But according to this framework, these were the exact seasons that carried the lessons that made his future peaks possible. Now, skip forward past his energy peak to age 52, the year 1989. The life graph shows his momentum quote-unquote falling into a low plateau. But the reading specifically notes that this isn't a failure. Actually, scratch that. It's more like the natural arc of release and recalibration. In the real world, 1989 was the year he starred in Glory and Driving Miss Daisy. His lifelong struggle was released, the doors opened with much less force, and he gracefully recalibrated into his permanent status as a Hollywood legend. The struggle was over, the integration had finally begun. Section 4. An enduring legacy. We've seen how his career aligns with this profile, but how does that core humanitarian energy actually express itself off-screen in his modern-day life? Well, concerned about the sharp global decline in bee populations, Morgan Freeman decided to transform his private 124-acre ranch in Charleston, Mississippi, into a massive safe haven for pollinators. He didn't just write a check or donate money to a cause. He literally reshaped his own land to create a secure, natural environment where these vital creatures could thrive completely undisturbed. This is where we see the humanitarian and the old wood energies perfectly in action. Back in 2014, he imported 26 beehives from Arkansas. He planted magnolia trees, lavender, and clover to make sure they had a steady supply of nectar. He even feeds them sugar water himself. But here is the most striking part about all of this. He never harvests the honey. He doesn't even wear a protective bee suit. He says he has never been stung because the bees remain calm in his presence. He's giving purely for the sake of giving, without extracting a single drop of reward. It is the absolute embodiment of his Life Path 9 blueprint, nurturing the earth like the deeply rooted ancient tree his chart says he is. Morgan Freeman's journey is a powerful reminder that greatness is rarely achieved overnight. It is built through patience, resilience, and just an unwavering commitment to a deeper purpose. So we really have to ask ourselves, as we look back on the decades of waiting, the massive recalibrations, and his quiet humanitarian spirit, was his extraordinary life shaped only by talent, perseverance, and circumstance? Or does this remarkable alignment reveal a deeper numerical pattern at work? It's definitely something to reflect on as you chart the momentum of your own journey. Every life has a pattern. Doms noms.